So could you just explain for us what you do on Twitch?
So I am a pottery streamer. Pretty much what had happened is I have a friend who's a streamer, Cafe Sparrow, and she does video games and chatting and stuff. And she knows that I do pottery, and she was like, "You should just do that. Like people will just watch you do pottery." And I thought that was ridiculous. But I joined Twitch and I started looking around and seeing what people did, and I was like, "All right, maybe I'll give it a shot." So, pretty much what I do is I just whatever I would be normally working on for that day, I do it on camera. So I try to keep it like I've kind of learned what's interesting to watch and what's not interesting. So, there's some things that I'm just like, yeah, I'll do this like off stream. This is not interesting for anybody. Or if it's something that I can't split my attention between talking to chat while doing, then I'll keep it off stream. But pretty much just anything in the pottery making process is what I do.
What is it that they don't usually like?
Yeah, it's not so much like people don't like it, it's just boring stuff like when you glaze pottery, you have to take a sponge and wipe everything off the bottom. Like that's generally not very fascinating to watch because it's just me sitting there with a sponge and a bucket of water being meticulous and looking at things and making sure the cracks are, filled in, stuff like that. People more like I try to do stuff that's a little more dynamic to look like actually throwing pots on the wheel is more interesting, or trimming things, or if I'm sculpting or something like that. But stuff that's like little or something that I can't really show on camera very well, um, I don't do. Although, like one thing I've always skipped streaming is loading up the kiln and putting everything in there to fire, because I'm like, it's essentially just watching me play high stakes Tetris because it's just trying to organize stuff and get it to fit. But I had a couple viewers be like, you should stream that. I want to see what that process is. So I might end up doing it. You never know. I mean, I guess I have assumed wrong as to what's interesting before. So whatever pottery things the people want, that's what I do.
How long have you been streaming for?
Not too long. I started in the summer. I actually was just recently trying to figure out how long it is. It's got to be at least 6 months because I just had a week or so where a bunch of people's like resub for 6 months was coming up. So about 6 months, not super long, pretty new to the game.
How long have you been doing pottery for?
I've been doing pottery for about 10 years. I had tried it in middle school when I was a kid, like seventh grade or so, and I liked it, but it's one of those things that unless you have some place to do it, you can't really pursue it, you know? Like if you want to get great at drawing or painting, that's pretty easy to do on your own, especially now with the internet. You can look stuff up and it's not so bad. But with pottery, like unless you've got some place to go with a wheel and clay and kilns, like there's a lot of equipment needed. So I didn't have the opportunity to do it again until I was in college, and I got super into college, and I haven't stopped since then.
What is it that you liked about it?
It's I've always been into art. I don't think I'm a particularly great artist. I think I'm competent. Like I know how to do things. I don't think I'm definitely not like a super like extraordinary talented. Like I see other people out there and I'm like, that's super artisty. But like I know what I'm doing. And pottery has the benefit of having a practical application to it. So sometimes I'd have trouble with drawing or painting and stuff where I'm like, I like to draw, I like to paint, but I didn't like just collecting sketchbooks full of drawings. Like I still do. I still like to sketch and I'll draw and do that other kinds of art. But I liked having an art that has a purpose, like something that's functional and practical. And the whole process of just throwing pottery on the wheel is very meditative. You can pretty easily zoom out and just like, I don't know, kind of go into a little trance like state, or I'll listen to an audiobook, watch TV in the background. You can kind of do it without thinking about it. And at the end, it's like you get a prize. Like, oh, I finished making something. Now I have a bowl. It's like a little reward for sitting around and doing art.
What's your favorite thing to make?
Oh, that's hard. I don't know. I make a lot of mugs. Just because when I was learning, when I was in college, I had a professor who said I took an independent study course where because I had taken all the courses that were available. There weren't a lot. There was like two. and I wanted to do more. And he was like, all right, we'll do an independent study. Your goal is to make a really perfect mug. That was it. So I had a semester of just making as many mugs as I could and trying to make them really good. And they're an easy thing to make if you're trying to sell stuff. Everybody uses mugs, whether you're a coffee or tea or cocoa drinker, everybody's got a use for a mug somewhere. So I've made a lot of them. So just by the virtue of the fact that they're like I've memorized how to do it and it's automatic and it's something that I can do without thinking of, it kind of puts it, I guess I would put it in the realm of my favorite just because I'm so comfortable with it that it's easy for me to play around with it and manipulate it. Other stuff I have to think a little harder. Like if I want to make a really cool vase or a bowl, I actually have to kind of plan it. With mugs, it's like, you know, learning how to do tricks after you've already learned how to ride a bike, you know. You've done the hard part, now you can just embellish on it.
And you sell your art as well, don't you?
Yeah, I have a web store where I sell stuff. I don't sell a lot of stuff. I definitely need to get better at like marketing and putting my stuff out there. It just feels weird to like constantly be like, "Hey, go buy things from me." It feels weird. It doesn't come naturally to me. For a while, I would just post on Facebook and just sell to people that I knew, which is easier because then you don't have to ship it. Like a lot of times, it's just people locally and you can just drive it over to their house. But now, this past summer, I got a house and I have room to actually have a little studio in my garage. So now I'm cranking out more and more stuff. I'm like, okay, I need to get rid of it faster. So I need to start selling more of it. Otherwise, it's just collecting, space. So I'm trying. I have a web store. It's got some stuff. I'm still kind of new into the whole selling stuff online venture. It's harder than I thought.
Yeah, most people I speak to, they say that advertising it is like the worst part because it just feels a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, you have to be really like not unabashed, but like, I don't know, for lack of better terms, you're just whoring yourself out. You're like, look at me, take my stuff. And it's just, I don't know. I try to be as humble as possible about my own work because like I said, I know that I'm all right. I'm good. I know what I'm doing and I can make nice stuff, but there's a lot better out there than I am. So it's hard for me to be like, mine is the one you should buy when I'm like, oh, but have you seen this person? Their stuff's really good. Like you should actually buy theirs instead. So it's hard. It's hard to like to market yourself. And also a lot of times people don't understand pricings for pottery too, because you can go to the store and buy a mug for $3. So why am I going to buy, one from you that's 35? But what they don't understand is, well, yeah, that's $35 for just a mug, but do you realize how much time that thing took and the supplies and the electricity? And you're not just paying for a mug, you're paying for all the time and energy and care that went into making it. So there's a lot of barriers for selling art, even if it's practical art.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more advertising like I could do with my podcast, and people give me like examples, but I just feel really uncomfortable with all like and subscribe. Like, it's just,
Yeah, yeah.
ugh, it's
It's
not me.
weird. It's very uncomfortable. And if you don't have like that kind of personality, like not braggy, because it's not negative. It's when I see other people who are really good at it, I never think like, oh my gosh, they're so full of themselves. Like that never even crosses my mind. I'm just like, that's how you have to do it. But then at the same time, I don't feel comfortable for doing it for myself, It's I don't know.
Yeah, I just
It's an
feel a little
uncomfortable
bit
feeling.
embarrassed.
Yeah, you're like, because if you're telling people to check out your stuff, you're being like, look, I'm great. And that's not, I don't know, maybe it's like a cultural thing or like I don't know, a societal thing is to not be braggy about yourself. But obviously you have to think that your stuff's pretty good if you want to share it with people. Like you have to have some sort of pride in your work if you're willing for people to see it. But yeah, I totally get it. I have a hard time too with advertising for Twitch. I have a hard time being like, come watch me do stuff. I'm like, really? I'm really saying that I'm so great that I want people to just watch me sit in my garage, in my sweaty, smelly garage while I get covered in clay. That's really what I'm telling people to do. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, do that. Come check it out.
Yeah, it's strange feeling like that. As you said, like you look at other people do it and you don't think, oh, that's weird, because it's just normal, isn't
Mm-hmm.
it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. It's my husband is he works in radio. And so he does a lot of advertising stuff, and he feels the same way. Like, so it's comforting too, because he's on the professional level, like broadcasting to people every single day, and he'll have to do commercials and stuff. And he's like, gosh, it just feels so forced and so fake. And like, you feel like when you say stuff like that, you're like, check this out. It's that people are gonna judge you for it. But then it's weird because you think that, but at the same time, like you said, you don't look at other people and like, oh, look at these people promoting themselves. It's just, I guess, something that you need to get practiced at and get used to it.
Well, I feel like most streamers or like YouTubers, they're a lot more like sociable than I am.
Yeah, I see that. I feel that. Not about you. I understand that that feeling. Like with Britt, who does Cafe Sparrow, my friend, she's such, like, in real life too, not just in her stream, she's got such a bubbly personality, and she's just super, like, even in person, people just want to hear what she's got to say. You're just drawn to her. So it seems so natural for her to be like, come check this out. This is what we're doing. It's going to be awesome. Where I'm like, ooh, that's not me. I am not like that. It's going to be weird if I say that, but I don't know.
Have you been on her streams before?
Yeah, I did. So I did one with her last night, and then if I'm in her area, we don't live too close to each other anymore. We're about an hour's drive apart. But if I'm down in her area, I'll show up. Showed up. I surprised her on was it her birthday? Or for Christmas, I just showed up at her house at like 1 a.m. It was horrifying for her. It was hilarious for me. But yeah, I've showed up on her stream a couple times. She tried to do one with me once, but it's a lot harder, I think, for her to fit into my mold because she's not an artist. So it's much easier for me to go in her things and, talk about all kinds of degenerate topics than it is for her to come into my stream and do art with me.
So you must be quite close friends then.
Oh yeah. We've known each other for, gosh, well, since we started college in 2009, so that long. We've been friends ever since. But yeah, it's a good time. It's fun. She like I said, she got me all into it and everything. And a lot of my what do you call it? My community for my stream is all people who've come over from her. I feel like in the past couple months, through the Twitch Pottery Throwdown groups, we've been doing little competitions together. I feel like that's been my first jump into getting people that are there to see my stuff just because it's my stuff. Like a lot of people I've had have been coming over from other communities, but now I feel like, okay, these people are just here for me, which is a bizarre feeling because I'm like, oh, everyone I could just lean back on, like, oh, you guys know Brit. Now I'm like, oh, it's just me out here. I'm all myself. But it's cool. It's exciting.
I don't get how people would stream. I wouldn't know what to say.
Yeah, that's why so I don't know how she does it, or like other people who do a lot of just chatting streams, because like I'm doing something with my hands the whole time. I'm very awkward, I guess. So if I'm talking to people, I have to be doing something with my hands, or like if obviously like the adult social situation, like if you got a drink in your hand, or I don't know, just doing something. Otherwise I feel very uncomfortable. I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing with my hands right now? Where am I supposed to be looking? It's just like social awkwardness to the max. So when I stream, I'm doing pottery. It's not expected that I'm always going to be looking at the camera, like I have to be looking at what I'm doing. And that makes it way easier. It breaks down a lot of the boundaries to being like, how do I interact with these people? Because I'm going to be staring at my hands, and then I'll look up occasionally and, respond to comments. But yeah, I don't get it. Just people who do a lot of just chatting, especially because you forget when you're watching stream that person is sitting in a room by themselves talking to the air. Like, it's a very weird thing when you think about it. Like if you're in a stream that's super interactive in the chat, you almost don't realize that, because you're reading things, you're listening to the streamer, like if they're a musician or if they're a gamer or something, you're seeing what they're doing. Like in your head, there's a lot going on. But for that person who's streaming, they're literally just chilling in a room with it's silence. Like they're just talking into the air. And it's such a crazy thing, especially when you see like huge streamers like I don't know if you've ever watched Andy the Frenchie. She's got like zillions of people in there, and she's talking to like 15 people at the same time. Like you can't even hold a conversation with one person because so many people are talking. But then you're like, dude, she's just chilling there in a room and it's silent. It's such an awkward thing when you think about it. But the people make it seem like it's natural. It's crazy. I
I
don't
know, right?
understand it.
When I thought of doing a podcast, I was like, oh, I couldn't do it by myself. So I obviously came up with the idea of having guests on because I just couldn't sit here and talk to myself. I wouldn't know what to say.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was in high school, podcasts were just becoming a thing. And gosh, that feels super, that's like the oldest thing I've ever said in my life when I was in high school. But they were just becoming a thing. And I got super into them. And I was really into the TV show Lost because that was on at the
Oh,
time.
I love that.
And oh my gosh, amazing, amazing. And that show was a huge like breakthrough for being a show with an interactive internet community. And like they started putting Easter eggs in the TV show that were like near impossible to find if you didn't have a team of people that you worked with. So I got super into message boards, and there were like 4 podcasts that I listened to online. Like it was overkill. It was super nerdy. But I was like, man, I want to do a podcast so bad. That seems so cool. And I think that it may be somewhere out on the internet. I will never give the name of it because if anyone looks it up, I'm sure mortifyingly embarrassing. But I recorded like 2 episodes of a Lost podcast with my friends, and I cringe to think of how awful it was. It probably was, but it was fun. It was just like a fun thing to do with my friends. I was like 14, 15 years old, and we are just, I just looked up to all these other podcasters, and I was like, I can be cool like them. I'd get all excited. I'd call in and I'd be like, oh, they played my phone call. I'd get so excited. It was awesome. But all those people, like one of the main podcasts I listened to was Jay and Jack. They have like a podcast empire now. Like they was literally just a dude and his dad talking about Lost. And now they have like a network. They have all these shows. And it's been, gosh, it has to have been like 15 years. Every once in a while, like if I say, hey, they know exactly who I am. And I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. I feel so fancy. I'm part of their tiny history that nobody else knows about but me.
I'm hoping that I don't look back and think, oh, this podcast was like embarrassing.
No, I don't think you will because you have a different like thing. Like when you're interviewing other people, then it's not all on you. You know what I mean? Like I was just hanging out with my friends, and it's different. Like I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of like comedians and people who have podcasts, which is with their friends, but they're also professional entertainers. So they know how to talk to each other in a way that they know is going to be entertaining to other people. But like when you're just talking to your friends, you speak differently than when you talk to people you don't know because you have a shorthand that you haven't developed yet, right? So I think you were probably not going to have that bad of a look back because you're talking to people that you don't know. So you're talking in a way that's appealing to other people. Whereas me and my friends are like, remember that time at lunch? Ha ha ha. And nobody knows what we're talking about. Like it's just us being dorks. It's a different, like, I don't know, formula.
I mean, I still look
At
back at
least
my first episode and I'm like, oh wow, I'm embarrassed.
I think that's true of any first thing that you do. I know I look at my first stream. I mean, it wasn't even that long ago, but I look back at it and I'm like, oh geez. Because I think I might have done it if I did it from my iPad or I did it from just my webcam. And it's just the audio is terrible, the video is terrible. But I mean at the same time, I don't know. It's terrible, but at the same time, I'm like, well, at the time I didn't know if I was even going to do this. It was just like testing the waters. So of course I wasn't going to have like a great camera and lighting and sound systems and stuff like that because I wasn't going to invest it to something that I wasn't sure I was going to do. But I think that's a common feeling, to look back at the first of anything that you've done and be like, oh, geez, how far I've come. I've learned so much.
Even just the sound of my own voice puts me off.
Mm, I cannot stand the sound of my own voice. Oh my gosh. I think whenever I hear myself, I'm like, I have the most unexpressive voice ever, which I've been told I don't, but to my own ears, I don't know, maybe I just like, maybe I have a personal preference. I like hearing super expressive voices. So when I hear my own, I'm disappointed. I don't know. But I'm like, oh my God, terrible,
Just
awful.
sound very American to me.
I see, it's funny you'd say that because I'm really American, so that'll do it.
So you liking streaming then?
I am, yeah. It's definitely something I'm going to continue doing for the foreseeable future. I definitely don't think it's ever going to be a thing that I do full time or anything like that. Like I don't see myself going much further than I am now. Like I made it to affiliate. I don't ever dream of becoming a partner. Stressful, man. Like I'm okay with people not expecting a lot of me because then there's less people to let down, you know?
So
Like
do you
I'm
not
cool
follow
with,
a schedule then?
I do. I stream every Saturday at noon, Eastern Daylight Time, Eastern Standard Time, and then every at 2. And I always say I'm gonna stream during the week, and then I never do. But I haven't put in my schedule that I stream during the week, so it's just hollow promises, not a scheduled hollow promise. That makes it okay, I think. But yeah, it's because I'm a teacher during the day. So after school, it's just like I have no life left in me to talk to more humans. I'm just like, oh my God, let me sit in the corner in the dark and not think about anything.
How long have you been teaching for?
This is my, oh, I should be able to answer that faster. This is, I think, my 8th year of teaching, 8 or 9. One of those two. It's around that mark. I started teaching 2nd grade, and I did that for a little bit, and then I taught 4th grade for a little bit, and then 3rd, and then back to 2nd, and then this is actually my very first year being the our school's art teacher, which is, it's a super weird year to start teaching art because of COVID and all of that, but I have been looking into becoming an art teacher for a little while, just because teaching the general ed room, I don't know if it's all educational system is not great, but in Florida, where I live in particular, it is dreadful. It's an embarrassing educational system, and we're paid crap and expected a lot. So I was looking to kind of get out and into art, which would be less stressful. But when the pandemic hit and we were all had to do teaching online and all that, our art teacher at my school, who is very close to retirement, was just like, yep, I'm done. Like I'm not doing this anymore. This is way past what I am willing to do. So it was awesome for me because it sped up the timeline for me being able to become an art teacher. So my first year of art teaching is in the middle of this insanity.
Do you enjoy teaching?
I do. I really do. I love kids. I mean, that's why I wanted to, be a teacher. I like working with kids, and especially now doing art, like doing something that's creative, and they have so much stress on them, on their tiny little brains, like, and their little underdeveloped brains can't handle. I enjoy that in teaching. Like the kids have so much on them, and a lot of them struggle so much and have so much pressure. So being the art teacher now, instead of like the regular all day teacher, it's like you feel like you're the superhero, like they're having like such a crappy day. They have to learn math and stuff like that they don't want to learn. And then they come into my room and I'm like, we're going to play with paint. And they're just like, oh God, finally. Something that like doesn't have any serious repercussions. It's just fun.
Gosh, my high school teachers just did not want to even be there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I get it. It's sad. It's sad when you, as a teacher, when your kids know that you don't. Like a lot of teachers have, I mean, any human has a day where they don't want to be doing their job, but a good teacher cannot want to be there and their students won't know it, like they can fake the enthusiasm or at least the complacency for the kids to be like, damn, like I think your kids should always think that their teacher loves school. Like kids shouldn't know that their teacher's so excited for spring break. They should not know that. They should be like,
My
man,
teachers
my
would make
teacher's
it so
probably so
obvious.
sad. Oh my gosh. Well, I do too, but I'm a terrible teacher, so it's okay. I'm like, I can't
Even
wait to not see you. I don't say that.
but even my college teachers now, they just make it obvious. They're like, you can all go home now. Like, and I've only been in
Mm-hmm.
for like an hour because they just want to go home early.
They do. Yeah. It's different. Like middle school or high school and college is a little different because you're like adults, you're if you're not an adult, you're dang close. So I feel like it's a little more acceptable for the teachers to be like, dude, let me level with you. But when you're little, because I mean, I work with the little elementary kids, they they need to think learning's fun still. They need to not have it broken to them that learning is hard. They need to think it's fun and exciting.
I'm guessing education is very different than in England, right?
I mean, I know nothing about education in England, so I don't know. But I mean, I imagine possibly.
Well, I think, well, I don't know how to explain. So I was gonna say year 11, but I think what would you call it? Grade 10 or something. Um,
Yeah.
we learn about like a lot of American history
Oh, weird.
and like
Why?
Asian history. So, well, do you not learn about like other history from different countries?
Well, we do, but because we don't have a lot of history, like our country is still pretty young I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like we don't have that much history. So, the way ours is yeah. So, we have when you're in kindergarten, like your very first year, your education on history is like, who are the members of your family? Who are your friends? And then every year after that, it moves further out from yourself. So like the next year you learn, okay, who are your neighbors? And then what is your town? And then what is your city? And then what is your state? And then what is your country? And then what is the world? And then then you move a little further away from yourself every year. So we definitely, I mean, there's world history and stuff, but it's like ancient history. It's like the Ottoman Empire and I don't know,
Oh my gosh.
Egypt and stuff like that. I mean, we learn international things to an extent, but we're pretty, what's the word? Not egocentric, but yes, egocentric. Like I don't mean that, but I do.
I
So
think the
it's a
things
lot
we did
of
about America was a lot about Martin Luther King, a lot of like American
civil
racism
rights.
and
Oh yeah.
1920s. And then we did a lot about, like Al Capone and stuff like that.
Oh, weird. What a random thing.
Yeah, it did not make America look good at all.
Well, America doesn't do a lot to make America look good, so that's on us.
And then,
Yeah,
of course, we
we're
moved on to like the Vietnam War and the Korean War, and it just made America look even worse.
oh yeah, yeah. We don't make a lot of great decisions as a country. There's not a lot of wise things that we do. But we're super into our civil rights, especially now. Like I don't know, with social media. I guess maybe it's an international thing. I don't know, but everything is about political correctness and not being offensive. And I think because we have such like the civil rights movement and like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all of that was so well publicly documented for the whole world to see, we're super focused on like never repeating that. Like we can never be so discriminatory. So I think that's why a lot of people are way oversensitive about using the right words and not saying anything that alienates anyone, because we have to be like, no, 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 we've moved past that. After Martin Luther King, we did everything correct. Like we fixed it. After that, we were perfect, which is obviously blatantly untrue, but it's such a like shameful thing that we had. Well, shameful in some parts of the country. It's a big country. You got a lot of people with a lot of different feelings, but the public area of it and a lot of the Northeast and the coastal areas are very like such a shameful thing that we had segregation and slavery and all of that. So now we just try to get as far away from it as possible by being like over the top accepting of everybody ever.
Yeah, I think a lot of people from other countries, they do forget how big America is. Like it is the size of like our whole continent.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and within this country, like the states are so vastly different in size. Like Texas is you could fit like 8 states from the Northeast in there. It's huge. It's bigger than France. It's huge. It's like a really large place. And it's got tons of huge cities. So we have a lot of like huge cultural differences within our own country, which is bizarre. My family and I'm originally from New York, and my now I live down in Florida, which is the same coast but way far south. So there's things different there. Whereas my brother moved to Arkansas, which is in the south, and that's like crazy different. That's like way more conservative, way more like Christian religious, gun-toting America. Like that's like the Cowboys America, which is totally different from what I was raised. So it's strange. Like we have so many different cultures. It's almost like little mini countries that we just all happen to have the same government.
But they all have different laws, don't they?
Yeah, well, we have state laws and we have federal laws. So certain things are governed by different branches of the government. So um, like one of the big ones was like marijuana laws. It's not been, oh, now I'm going to get this wrong and people are going to be mad at me. Um, Hold on, let me get it right. It's not decriminalized on a national scale yet, but certain states have different legalities to it. So like the big one is Colorado. In Colorado, it is legal completely, recreationally, medicinally, anything. Like it's totally legal if you're over whatever the age. I don't even know what the age for it is. I imagine 18. But like where I'm in Florida, you can only get it if you have a medical license. Like you need a prescription. And then there's other places where you can't get it at all. So like there's certain things that are governed like that. But I don't know what process, but I know that they could like federally decriminalize it across the board. They just haven't yet. That's how it was with gay marriage. Like when they finally, that was like why it was such a huge deal, because there were certain states where it was legal and certain where it wasn't. So when they did it on a national scale, it was big because it was like all those holdout states that were like, no way, we're never doing this. It didn't matter what their state government said, the country decided it. So it just wiped that out and it was just like, too bad, this is a law now. So it's weird. It makes for some bizarre dynamics. And a lot of people move around within states because if you don't like, your local government, you can just move to another state that might have laws that are a little more fitting to what you want.
Yeah, I think most of my viewers are British, so this is going to be very interesting to hear about.
Oh, I hope that you don't have too many American people who are like political scientists who are like, this chick did not know what she's saying. Because I will be the first to admit, I am super not politically informed. Like, I have the most rudimentary understanding of how our country works. Like, only the stuff that affects me immediately. And that's about it.
Well,
But
it's not like you're saying what I'm saying is so correct. Like, at least you're saying, like, I'm
yeah,
not sure if this is
no,
true, but
yes. A huge disclaimer on everything. I could be very wrong. But
I,
yeah.
I feel like a lot of Americans think that the Queen like just chooses all of our laws as well.
Well, we just think it's crazy that you have a queen. Really, it is what it is. It's like, because to us that's such a like a fairy tale thing. Like kings and queens, like, what do you also have fairies? Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's insanity. Why would you even do that? I mean, most of us, I don't know. I understand that she's just like a figurative head now, right? Like, she doesn't have any real power. It's kind of like ceremonial. Is that accurate?
I have no idea. I swear she just does nothing. She takes
There's
money
people.
off the
There you go.
government and doesn't do anything.
She's like, yeah, there we go. She was, what was it? Oh gosh, who is the comedian? It was a British one. Hold on, I can come up with it. It might have been Russell Brand, who was like, she's just an old lady with a fancy hat. I was like, oh, okay. I
Oh,
get
yeah, he's
it.
not wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool though. Like, you guys have a palace. Ooh, we don't have any palaces. We have like nothing. We have mini malls, no palaces.
I mean, I've not seen it because I don't live anywhere near London, so I didn't see anything
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
I guess, but it's there. You know, you have a palace somewhere
Yeah, but
in
the White
land.
House is like a big palace. It's not like it's a castle.
No, the White House is like I don't know. It ain't that fancy. There's a lot nicer places. There's a real reason that our former president barely lived there. He was like, my house is way nicer than this. There's no way. I'm not staying here. Like he was hardly ever there. He was actually close. He has a home, Trump that is, he who shall not be named, had a home very close to where I live in South Florida. It is very annoying because he would fly in all the time and like every road would shut down. So we'd be like, even people who were very supportive of him, when he would like fly in, they'd be like, oh God, like now we can't get anywhere because every road has to be shut down so we can get to his house. It's
Wow, that
awful.
is so annoying.
It's super annoying. That's what, like, I guess it's the same way if you live in DC, if you live in Washington, DC, where the White House and the Capitol building and all that are, it's the same thing because if the motorcade comes by with, if the president or the vice president's there and he's got like a zillion cars following him around and protecting him. But I mean, if you live there, I guess you expect it, right? You're
I'd
like,
just
that
move at that
must,
point.
yeah. I don't know why. I mean, unless you have a political job, I don't know why anyone would be like, this is a good place. It's cold, snowy, busy, and terrible traffic. Why? None of those sound like good things to me.
I'd rather just drive ages to get to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you
I
guys
just
not have
have
castles in America?
no, no, we do not have castles.
That is mad.
Well, we don't have medieval times. Like those didn't happen here. Like before, the American saying that we're all taught in elementary school, which ends up being wrong, is in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. So before that, before 1492, like there's nothing. I know that's wrong. Okay, anyone listening, I know that that's incorrect. That there is like some history of Spanish explorers coming over and like Vikings and crap like that, I guess. But there was no big colonization. It was just Native Americans. So then they were not, they were very like live of the land type of people. Like there was not modern stuff going on. So, I mean, we have actually, you know what? Wait, we have forts. We have the occasional fort like that are kind of castle-ish, I guess, but they're entirely military constructions. But yeah, no castles. That's why when Americans go to Europe, they get really excited about like going to see Neuschwanstein and things like that. They're like, "Oh my gosh, look, castles! Like that's so
Castles are so
cool."
boring. Everyone goes to a castle when they're like 6 years old, and you're just like, I want to
Oh,
go
because that's the
home.
stuff that goes hand in hand with the whole king and queen thing. We're like, you guys are hiding fairies and wizards. If you've got castles, there's a wizard nearby, guaranteed. In every story, if there's a castle, there's a wizard. So show
It's a
me your
secret.
wizards.
You're not
That's what
supposed
they're
to tell
thinking.
anyone. Just wait
The
to find about the
secret.
dragons.
Oh God. I knew you guys had dragons. You sneaky
Don't tell
Europeans and
anyone.
your hidden dragons.
Yeah, I've got one as a pet.
Oh, that's so cool.
Bright green as well.
Oh my gosh. That'd be the coolest thing ever. I'd be so mad if I found out that Europeans had dragons and they were keeping them a secret this whole time. Like we don't have any cool thing that we would have. Like what? I can't even think of anything. Vampires aren't ours. Frankenstein's not our, like we couldn't have any cool things. We're just cowboys. Is that exciting? I don't
Being very
know.
honest, I can't think of a reason why I'd want to go to America. When I think of America, I'm kind of scared. Like, you guys scare me.
I mean, that's fair. That's a very fair feeling. I will say just because it is so big, there's a lot to see. There's a lot of like diversity. You can see like massive cities, you can see like beautiful countryside and different kinds of countryside. Like we have prairies, we have mountains, we have hilly areas, we've got beach towns, and we've got damn near anything. Like in where I am, it's like tropics, we've really got like every biome you could want. Not really, but we have a lot. So I'd say we do have that going for us. So I mean, there's a lot, you can see a lot without ever leaving the country. But it's also, I feel like in certain circles, it's very like not frowned upon, but you're kind of a little lesser if you're not a little well traveled. Like everybody's been, not everybody, but everybody who is somebody has been somewhere abroad. even if it's like the easy ones like Mexico or Canada, because they're like right there, you've got to have like seen something outside, which is hard to do because it's not like Europe where you can drive a couple hours and you're in another country. You have to like try really hard. You gotta, you know, book these multi-$100 tickets and plan all kinds of crazy crap to do.
Yeah, that's so weird because we could literally like drive a few hours and I'm in a like completely different country.
It's insane. Yeah. Like road trips here are like something you have to do to see your family and you're still in the same country. And depending on which state you're in, you could still be in the same state and drive for a couple hours. Like even in New York where my parents live, we would drive like a good 3 hours and we'd still be in New York just to go see like grandparents or whatever. I'm sure there's areas in Europe where you can drive a few hours and be in the same country, but like it's that everywhere in every direction you head. Like Florida, where I am, is super long country, like or country, super long state. So like you got to drive good. I don't know. It would take me at least 5 hours to get into the next state. I think I'm bad at numbers though, so I could be very wrong. But I feel like it's at least 5 hours. Yeah, it is. It would take me 4 hours to get to the Disney World, so it has to be at least five to get out of the state.
Oh, I've never been to a Disney World before.
They're cool. To be fair, I've only been once, which is awful because now I live down here. So like there's not really, I mean, there's a pandemic right now, but I've lived down here for years and I just never went again. But it's a pretty big draw. There's a lot of fun theme parky stuff. But do you guys have like other theme parks? Like we don't just have Disney, we have a bunch of other different ones too.
Yeah, like
Disney's just like their
Alton
brand name.
Towers.
That sounds like another castle filled with dragons. You've got a ton of drag. That's just a dragon. I see what you're saying here.
But it's not like how you'd call it a theme park. It's like just rides and that's it.
Oh, okay. Like I don't even know.
But
Yeah,
that's
I guess
what like most of ours are like. Like we don't have like well, I don't even know what Disney is like to be honest. I think our closest one is like Disneyland Paris.
oh, I wonder, I don't know. I don't know if I've talked to many people who have been to the multiple Disneys to like compare and contrast. Because I know there's one in Paris and then isn't there one in like Tokyo?
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. Because we have Disneyland and we have Disney World, which is in Florida and in California, so opposite coast. But I believe those are only our only Disneys. But then we also have like come on, Jen, think of the word. Where we have like Harry Potter World and stuff, which is not Disney, but it's
Oh, what like
nearby.
Orlando or something. What's it
Yeah,
called?
yeah. Well, Disney is in Orlando. Disney World is in Orlando, and then it's got crap. What is it called? Oh, Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. That's where we have Harry Potter World and like the Jurassic Park theme parks and stuff like
But
that.
is that rides or is it just a place where you go look at stuff?
It's a little of both. Like Harry Potter World has tons of rides in it, but it also has like a little like it's got a little road that you walk down that's made to look like you're in Hogsmeade. So it's like all cobblestone thing and all the building facades. And there's like a little honeydukes you can go in and buy candy and stuff like that. So there's like shops. There's like a little Ollivanders. You can go there and there's like a skit, like you like they'll let six people in there at a time, and then Ollivander like helps you choose your wand, and like there's animations and stuff, and there's lots of actors. There's always actors all over any of those Disney things who are like in character 24/7, as if you're really there. But yeah, rides, it's definitely the main thing, but there's definitely tons of other stuff to do, like
I mean, I've not
restaurants
even
and
watched
shopping.
Harry Potter, so
What are you doing?
it just never seems
Americans love
interesting.
Harry Potter. Let me tell you, that is the greatest British export is Harry Potter. We're all huge fans.
One of my
What do
friends
we
is
have
really
to
into
offer
it. She just makes me do all the online tests. Like, what
for
house are
Harry
you
Potter?
in? Yeah.
You're like, I don't care. It's not real.
She's like, oh my gosh, you're
Uh,
Slytherin. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
oh, that's a bad. You don't want to be Slytherin. Although
Oh no.
there's a lot of coming up acceptance of the Slytherin culture. But again, I don't know. Maybe that's an American thing because we want to be accepting of everyone. I don't know. But yeah, those are the bad guys.
I just like star signs. That's what I'm into.
Oh, okay, like astrology and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe in it. I think it's just funny how sometimes like sometimes it's accurate or sometimes it's just something funny anyway.
Absolutely. I'm always very skeptical about stuff, but I did meet a lady once who was doing star chart readings. So it's like I didn't know that there's more to just your sign. Like there's your sign, but then depending on the
Oh,
phase of
it's
the
like
moon,
sun, moon,
whatever.
rising, and all
Yes,
different
all that
planets.
stuff. And so she did like my whole star chart for me. And she was like describing that stuff. And I was like, okay, that makes more sense in less of the like vague things, you know? Like a lot of them I feel like you're very brave. And I'm like, well, anyone can be very brave in any sense, you know? Like bravery is one of those terms that could be applied in so many different ways. So yeah, sure, I'm very brave, but you could say that about anyone. So that was the first thing that I'd ever had that I was like, okay, these are like less specific or less vague statements where I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. That's kind of interesting. But I haven't pursued it. I don't have any like crystals or anything like that that I,
Oh,
soak
can't
in the
relate.
moonlight. Oh, do you have tons of crystals? Do you soak them in the
Yes.
moonlight?
No, I
That's
don't put them in the
amazing.
moon. No, I just have them for decoration.
Oh my gosh, you're supposed to soak them in the moonlight. What are you doing? They're
They're
not going to
just
have
very
any
pretty.
energy. That's true. This is true.
I
I
like it
do
for the
want to get
aesthetic.
crystals. But yeah, they're aesthetic crystals. Someone's going to come into your home one day who knows things about crystals and they're like, oh, I can't believe you have your quartz next to your amethyst. And you'll be like, oh no. They looked really good next to each other though.
Oh wow. And you know what, right? You can go in Snapchat and put in your time of birth and they'll do your whole chart for you.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't have Snapchat. I feel like it would ruin my
that's all I
life.
use it for.
Really? I
They give
should
you a whole
start.
reason and you can like compare yours with like people you're friends with.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I can't do that. No, nope.
What
I've
is your
had too
star
many.
sign?
I'm a Libra.
Oh, I'm a Scorpio.
All right. I think my husband's a Scorpio. I should know that, right? Like the person I'm married
It's
to. He
like
was born in
November.
November.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He's a Scorpio. Cool. I like it.
People always say mean things about Scorpios.
Do they?
Yeah, they're like
Screw
Scorpios
those
are so
guys.
mean. I
You
can
tell
be
them.
mean, but
But
I
I
mean,
get, but see,
you're not wrong, but
that's another one of those things. Like you could say that about anything, at anyone. Like anyone could be mean. Anyone can be mean at times. I'm mean sometimes, but it's like, we all got our different brand of mean.
yeah, of course. I feel like we just got really off track.
I mean, and that's why pottery is so great. Did that
Literally.
work? Feel free to edit that in anywhere.
I feel like it's just gonna make no sense.
I'm so sorry. I get really easily distracted.
No, it's good though. I like talking about random stuff.
I'm always down for random stuff. That's my forte.
I always
Live
learn
the
so
random
much from
life.
talking to different people.
It's fun. That's I'm jealous that you get to do that because it's um like when you're watching podcasts or listening to podcasts or watching streams and stuff, you or at least I always get that like, ooh, I want to know this though. And I'm sure with streamers you can like type into chat and find out things, but it's cool to like you get a nice like sample size viewing of the world through what you're doing. I'm sure it's like pretty fun.
I mean, I
At
said
least
in
I
my
hope it's fun.
yeah, it is fun. I said in my last episode that I wish I could make it more interactive. Like on my first episode, I did this thing on Instagram where it was like, are there any questions you want me to ask this person that I'm talking to?
Hmm.
And I did get a few questions, and it was fun to do that kind of like little viewers segment. But I feel like
Hmm.
if I wanted to keep up doing that, I'd need like more viewers because I just wouldn't get enough questions.
But then in order to do the viewers, you've got to do the work and go advertise, which brings us back to the beginning.
I know, and my viewers aren't gonna always know this person or that person. So
Yeah. Where do you like get yours? Are they mostly Twitch streamers or just from anywhere?
either Twitch or Instagram or just friend of a friend kind of
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Just anywhere, to be honest. Like I'll literally just talk to anyone. Like they're not even a content creator. I'll talk to them.
That's awesome though, because I mean it's just humans, it's just getting to know other people.
I think it's just interesting hearing about like how everyone's lives are just different. And I always ask people if they have like advice about things, and they always say something really interesting. And they always say something different. And that's just what it makes it interesting.
Yeah. Well, because different, everybody is just a sum of their experiences. And especially when, like how you're doing it, you're with the advent of the internet, you can get people from all over the world and all different like interests and hobbies. So they're going to have such vastly different experiences. So their outlets are going to be like, you've got a huge array, which is really, it's awesome. It's a good
But I think
experience.
even if you had two people that had the exact same experiences, they
Mm-hmm.
still would see it differently.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You've got different like inputs on it and all of that. Where did you find my stream from, or from Instagram?
I actually like found you from Discord. I saw you self-promoting.
Oh, on who? On which place?
I think it was Drawn Sean.
Ah, okay. Yeah, he's a monster. He's so good. We all
What a way to
aspire to be John
describe it.
Sean.
He's a monster.
He's a monster. Like, I mean, like in a good way. I don't know. It does not translate. Is my slang too weird? He's like he's a giant. He's a force to be reckoned with. I
These
always
do not sound
feel,
like compliments.
do they not? I'm so
Not to
sorry.
me.
Oh my gosh. He's a juggernaut.
Of
Like,
what?
like a have you not heard that phrase before, or that term?
No.
Like I don't know, like a super powerful force, like
God.
someone who's, yeah, a god. He is, well, Big Sean is the god, let's be honest here.
Of course.
But yeah, I always feel super excited whenever if he ever raids my channel. Him and Becca from Becca and the Bear. I don't know if you watch her stream. She's amazing. She's in, where is she? She's in Germany, but she's French Canadian, and she's a tattoo artist, and she does a lot of like drawings and stuff. But she's got a super cozy, friendly community, and like a huge one too. So between the two of them, if either of them ever raid me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am going to disappoint all of their viewers right now with my mediocre content. Like, they just came from such entertaining excellence, and I'm like, so we're gonna make a bowl. It's awful. It's awful, but very kind. They're all lovely human beings.
I love buying handmade pottery. I think it's so cool if it's all like hand painted as well. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, there is something cool about it. About like getting something with somebody's fingerprint on it, like just being like, that's, someone took so much time to make this, and effort, and thought about it, and looked at it, even if it's stuff that is cranked out real quick. I used to work with a friend of mine who owned a pottery production business. It was like him and his sister and his wife. It was just the three of them, and they just made like a crap ton of pottery and sold it at fairs and markets, and then like sold it to catalogs. But like even their stuff, where they were like assembly line, like I throw it, you trim it, you cut it, you decorate, you whatever, like it was just done really quick. Even something so manufactured as that, each piece still has so much time into it. Like, it almost feels like when you get someone's handmade pottery, this is going to sound so hippie, I'm so sorry, I sound like such a like flower child right now, but it's like you're getting like someone's time, like you're holding someone's experience and time and like care like that went into that. It's almost like a metaphysical thing. I'm
No,
gonna
I
go guest
totally
star chart for a
understand that. I love buying
while.
stuff like that.
Yeah, anything that's been like handcrafted stuff. I love getting, this is going to sound super weird and random, and that's because it is. I love handmade pants.
Yeah, that
Like,
was random.
what is that? Not a common thing? People don't love handmade pants? No, like that like Indian style like genie pants, like Aladdin wears, with like the really low cut like crotch and like the skinny little legs. I don't know what the term, like
You're sounding
harem
real
pants.
hippie right now.
Oh my gosh, you're finding out how hippie I really am. It's for real.
You're just the classic art teacher.
I am. Oh my gosh, it's such my natural state of being. I'm like the Miss Frizzle of the art world. It's amazing. But yeah, I love getting those, because I'm like, someone sewed this with their hands and now they're my pants. It feels awesome.
Oh,
Or like hand dyed, like tie dyed stuff. Oh my gosh, that seems so much harder than I'm willing to put in the effort to learn how to do.
I love like buying stuff from like small businesses as well. They always just end up being so expensive.
Yeah, that's the trade-off. But it's because, like I was saying earlier, it's because of the time and the effort and the like how much it costs them to do it. Like a lot of products that people make by hand, they have to pour money in to be able to make it to begin with. So it's like they have to make that back up in order to, make profit, which is honestly, to get back to the original topic, part of what I love about doing streaming on Twitch is that like I get a little bit of money, not a ton of money, but enough money that if there's like a new tool I want to buy for pottery, or if I'm, out of clay, which definitely happens, and I'm like, ugh, I don't have money to buy this, I can be like, oh wait, I can use my Twitch money for that. So it's like I'm so content to just make enough money off of Twitch that it supports my pottery habit. Like, as long as it's like I'm not going to go into debt doing pottery because I have Twitch to fall back on, which is awesome. Like whenever I've done like fundraising goals to buy something, like when I first started streaming, it was the middle of the summer and I'm in Florida, so it's just torturously hot outside. And where I was doing all my pottery in my garage is unair conditioned. So I had a donation goal to buy, I had to pay to have the electricity fixed so that I could have a air conditioner, and Twitch raised it. It was like $800 and they raised it for me. And I was like, these people are so nice. They're like, we're tired of seeing you sweat. You should
Oh
get
my
an air
gosh.
conditioner. And
Maybe
it's
I should
so
start
like,
streaming then.
I know it's nice if you can, getting that little bit. Cause I mean, you think every subscription is, I don't know what the conversion rate, but it's like $5 and you get a portion of that. And then like, if you have cheer emotes, people do them to be funny. Like a lot of times people will try to troll you with like different cheering things. Like Brittany's, she has it on Cafe Sparrows. For like 120 bits, she has a voice that just yells penis on hers. And people love to do that. But like, because it's funny, they're like, oh, this is like a funny thing that happens. But dude, you're giving her $1 every time that happens. So it's like, it's a funny thing on one hand, but at the same time, like she's earning from it, from just being silly and ridiculous.
I mean, I never really aim to make money off my podcast. I think it's just a hobby.
Yeah. I mean, but you never know. Like it may escalate. You may make zillions of dollars off of podcasting. Soon all the advertisers are going to be reaching out to you.
Oh gosh, I
Just
feel
wait.
like I wasted my time in education then.
Yeah. There you go.
All
Yep.
these times studying just for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
right, I won't keep you for too long. Anything else you want to add before we finish?
No, it's been fun. Thank you for reaching out and having me on. I hope that you have much success.
Thank you for being on my podcast. It means a lot.
Of course.